Marcus Brennan pulled up to his ex-wife's house with one goal: to mock the poverty he'd left her in 7 years ago. He'd abandoned Simone without a backward glance, blocked her from his life, and built an empire while she struggled alone. But when the door opened, it wasn't Simone who answered. It was a 7-year-old boy who looked exactly like Marcus's childhood photos, right down to the green eyes and dimpled chin. In that single devastating moment, Marcus realized he hadn't just abandoned a wife, he'd abandoned a son he never knew existed. What Marcus didn't know was that this shock would be just the beginning of a reckoning that would cost him everything he thought mattered and give him everything he never knew he needed. Subscribe and comment below if you've ever gotten a second chance you didn't deserve, because this story is about to show you what redemption really costs. Marcus's knees buckled, hands shooting out to grip the porch railing. The wood felt splintered beneath his palm, grounding him in a reality that refused to make sense. The word caught in his throat like glass. His eyes darted between Simone's face and the closed door. That's impossible, is it? Simone's voice carried no heat, just exhausted fact. She remained perfectly still, arms crossed like armor. We divorced 7 years ago this month. Do the math. Brian had reached the porch steps, stopping there as though approaching a car accident. Marcus, maybe we should... You told me. Marcus's voice cracked, morphing from shock into defensive anger. You would have told me. Simone's laugh was bitter, sharp. I tried. She uncrossed her arms, let them fall to her sides. Surrender, or perhaps just fatigue. I found out the day after you served papers, called 17 times, texted, emailed. Her eyes locked on his. You blocked me everywhere. Moved across the city within a week. Changed your number. The truth of it landed like a punch. Marcus remembered those calls, seeing her name flash on his screen in those first raw weeks. Remembered thinking she wanted to beg, to negotiate, to make him feel guilty. Remembered blocking her with savage satisfaction. You could have... He grasped for footing, for any argument that would shift blame away from the crater opening in his chest. You could have come to the office, found me somehow. Could I? Simone's voice rose for the first time, controlled fury breaking through. Show up at the company where you'd just promoted yourself to CEO, where you'd told everyone I was holding you back. Stand in that glass lobby, pregnant and poor, begging you to listen? She shook her head. I had more dignity than that, still do. Brian cleared his throat, gentle but firm. Marcus, she tried. You made yourself unreachable. Marcus whirled on him. How you don't... But Brian's expression stopped him. Pity mixed with disappointment. The look of a friend watching someone expose their worst self. He has your eyes, Brian said quietly. Your chin, that cowlick you always complained about. Marcus turned back to Simone, saw her watching him with something like sad vindication. I want a test, he managed. Paternity test. Fine. Simone's agreement came too easily. Stripped of fight. Won't change what I already know. Inside the house, a child's laugh rang out, bright, uncomplicated joy. Marcus flinched at the sound. The wood grain of the railing pressed patterns into Marcus's palm. He forced his hand open, forced air into his lungs. You can't just... That boy can't... He turned 7 in March. Simone's words came measured, deliberate. No theatrics. Just fact delivered like a coroner's report. You left in June. I found out I was pregnant in July. 3 years married. 7 years since you walked away. Through the window, Eli's small shadow moved across the kitchen. An older woman's silhouette bent toward him, handing him something. The normalcy of it, cookies on a Saturday morning, felt obscene against the wreckage spreading across the porch. Marcus's jaw worked. Why didn't you tell me? The accusation landed between them. Simone didn't flinch. I tried 17 times in the first week. Her voice remained level, but something dangerous glinted beneath. Called, texted, emailed. You'd already blocked my number. Changed yours. Your assistant, what was her name, Jessica, told me you'd left strict instructions I wasn't to contact you under any circumstances. That's not... I went to your office. Simone spoke over him, reciting a chronology she'd clearly replayed countless times. Security escorted me out. On your instruction. I sent a registered letter to your apartment, the one you moved into the week after you served papers. Her throat worked. It came back 3 weeks later. Returned to sender. Your handwriting. Brian shifted on the steps. Marcus, I remember. You told everyone she was... He stopped, unwilling to finish. Unhinged. Simone supplied the word without inflection. That's what you called me when I tried to tell you I was pregnant, when I showed up at your office. She uncrossed her arms, hands spreading in a gesture of empty-handed surrender. You called me an anchor around your neck, said I embarrassed you at networking events, blocked me everywhere and moved across town. Her eyes met his. What should I have done? Hired a skywriter? Marcus's mouth opened, closed. The boy's face superimposed over every defense he tried to form. He swallowed hard. I need a paternity test. Simone's laugh cut like breaking glass. Of course you do. But she nodded immediately, sharp and businesslike. Fine. Test him. Get your proof. But here's the deal, Marcus. She stepped closer, and he saw exhaustion carved into the lines around her eyes. You get your answer Monday. Then you decide, fully in, permanently, or you walk away now and never come back. I won't let you treat Eli the way you treated me, showing up when convenient, vanishing when it's not. The espresso had gone cold an hour ago. Marcus stared at his phone, thumb hovering over a photo he'd found by accident. Simone's old Instagram account, privacy settings apparently forgotten in some update. Eli at 6, gap-toothed and grinning, holding a soccer trophy nearly as big as his torso. The cowlick stuck up at the same impossible angle Marcus's had throughout childhood, his reflection caught in the darkened phone screen. Unshaven, hollow-eyed. The doorbell's chime made him flinch. Brian stood in the hallway, took one look and sighed. You look like hell. Marcus didn't argue, couldn't. The drive downtown stretched silent except for the ambient hum of traffic. Marcus's jaw worked, grinding thoughts into words he couldn't quite articulate. Finally, 7 years. She kept him from me for 7 years. Brian's hands tightened on the wheel. You made yourself unreachable. Own that. The clinic smelled of antiseptic and anxiety. Marcus signed in, his signature illegible, shaking. The waiting room chairs were too small, too bright, everything too sharp and real. Then the door opened. Eli came in first, confusion written across features that mirrored Marcus's own baby photos with eerie precision. Simone's hand rested on his shoulder, protective, grounding. Why are we at the doctor if I'm not sick? Eli's voice carried that particular 7-year-old logic that demanded honest answers. Simone crouched to his level. The man from Saturday needs to know for sure that you're related, baby. So we're doing a test that proves it. Eli's eyes, Marcus's eyes, found him across the waiting room. Is he my dad? The question landed like a fist to the sternum. Simone's composure cracked for half a heartbeat. We're going to find out for certain. The lab technician called them back. Clinical white walls, sterile instruments, everything reduced to cheek swabs and chain of custody forms. Eli was brave, curious even watching the technician prepare the collection kit. Does it hurt? Not even a little. The tech smiled. Just a tickle. Marcus watched his son, tilt his head back, cooperative and trusting. Watched Simone's thumb stroke circles on Eli's shoulder. Watched Brian crouch down, pointing to Eli's shirt. That your soccer team? The boy's entire face transformed. Yeah, I play forward mostly, but coach says I'm good in midfield too. We won our last game 4-2 and I got an assist. The words tumbled out in an excited rush. Brian listened, asked questions, made Eli laugh about a missed penalty kick that went so far over the goal it might have landed in the parking lot. Marcus stood frozen, a stranger at his own child's coming to life. The technician turned to him. Sir, your turn. The swab tasted like nothing, like the absence of everything he should have known. Results in 72 hours, the tech said, sealing the samples. We can rush it for... Do it. Marcus's voice came out hoarse. 24 hours, whatever it costs. He paid at the desk, $500 to confirm what his reflection in Eli's face had already screamed. Outside, autumn sun cut sharp across the parking lot. Eli spotted an older woman waiting by a sedan. Joyce, Marcus realized, Simone's mother. The boy ran ahead, calling back, Can we still go to the park? Of course, baby. Marcus stood by Brian's car, watching them move toward their own. His throat worked around words that wouldn't form. Simone. She turned, patience worn thin around her edges. What, Marcus? He seems... God, how did you compress 7 years of absence into syllables? He seems like a great kid. Something flickered across her face. Not forgiveness. Something gentler, more devastating. He is. And you should know. He's asked about his father since he was 4 years old. Her voice steadied, strengthened. I never lied to him. I told him his dad wasn't ready to be a father yet, that it wasn't Eli's fault. I've protected you in his mind, Marcus, even when you didn't deserve it. The generosity of it hit like betrayal in reverse. She got in the car before he could respond. Through the windshield, Joyce's glare could have stripped paint. They drove away. Brian's hand landed on Marcus's shoulder. You good? Marcus shook his head. I don't know what I am. They sat in the car as the parking lot emptied, waiting for results that would confirm what bone-deep certainty already knew. The espresso had gone cold hours ago. Marcus stared at his laptop screen, the quarterly projections blurring into meaningless columns of numbers. His home office, all glass and steel and recessed lighting, felt like a mausoleum. Brian had left at 6, after a client meeting where Marcus had nodded in the right places and contributed nothing useful. Go home, Brian had said, though they both knew Marcus was already there. Get some sleep. Sleep. As if that were possible. The phone sat centered on his desk. Ringer maxed. Marcus refreshed his email for the 100th time. Nothing. He stood, paced to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. 43 stories below, headlights threaded through downtown streets. Behind him, his reflection hovered ghost-like in the dark glass. A man in a $500 shirt who'd spent the day unable to remember a single word spoken to him. 7 years. The number kept circling. First steps, first words, birthdays and Christmases and ordinary Tuesdays, all of it happening in a modest rental house across town while he closed deals and upgraded condos and convinced himself he was happy. His phone buzzed. Marcus spun, nearly knocked his chair over reaching for it. Email notification. Subject line, lab results. Patient 4782M. His hand shook, opening the attachment. The document loaded in sections. Clinic letterhead, patient information, technical methodology. Then the conclusion, stark in bold typeface. Probability of paternity, 99.9999%. He read it again and again. The clinical language made it real in a way the boy's face hadn't. Elijah Hayes is the biological son of Marcus Brennan with virtual certainty, as if there'd ever been doubt. Marcus printed the results, watching the paper emerge from his desk printer. He held it, half expecting the words to rearrange themselves into something less devastating. They didn't. He called Brian. That was fast. Brian's voice carried kitchen sounds, running water, clattering dishes. Normal life, continuing. Positive. Marcus's voice cracked on the word. 99.99%. Silence, then, you okay? I have a son. The words felt foreign. I have a 7-year-old son who doesn't know me, who shouldn't know me. He couldn't finish. What are you going to do? The question hung there. Marcus looked around his pristine office, his curated life, degrees on the wall, awards on floating shelves, photos of himself at industry conferences, shaking hands with people whose names he barely remembered. Nothing with Eli's face. Nothing that mattered. I don't know how to be a father, he whispered. Brian's exhale carried through the line. Nobody does at first, but Marcus, you can't get those 7 years back. You understand that? They're gone. The grief hit physical, doubling him over. Wednesday afternoon found Marcus cross-legged on the floor of Barnes & Noble's children's section, surrounded by a semicircle of parenting books. Fatherhood for Beginners lay open across his lap. Connecting with Your 7-year-old sat stacked beside Co-Parenting After Separation and 3 others with titles promising answers he desperately needed. He flipped through pages about developmental stages, emotional regulation, attachment theory. The words swam. How was he supposed to condense 7 years of missed knowledge into 3 days? Finding everything okay? Marcus looked up. A bookstore employee, 50s, kind eyes, name tag reading Diane, stood with her hands clasped, patient. I just found out I have a 7-year-old son. The confession tumbled out before he could stop it. Diane didn't flinch. She scanned the books at his feet, then disappeared down an aisle. She returned with 3 more titles and something smaller. Start with these. She handed him the stack. And here, the smaller book was a picture book, The Invisible String. Read to him. Kids that age still love being read to. Gives you something to do together that isn't talking. Marcus bought everything. The stack felt like penance, like proof he was trying. Thursday he met Brian at a downtown cafe. Marcus had barely touched his sandwich. What if he hates me? The question came out raw. What if I screw this up? Brian set down his coffee. You might. Probably will, honestly. Marcus flinched. But Simone's giving you a chance. Don't waste it trying to be perfect. Just be present. What do 7-year-olds even like? Ask him. Novel concept, I know. Marcus spent Thursday evening researching online. He bought age-appropriate soccer gear in Eli's team colors, then returned it Friday morning, Simone's warning echoing, "Don't try to buy him." Friday evening he called his parents. The conversation was stilted. His father distant, his mother mildly curious about the situation, but offering no support beyond "these things happen." Marcus hung up, understanding more about his own emotional barrenness than he'd learned from any book. Saturday morning he woke at 5, showered, changed outfits 3 times before settling on jeans and a Henley. Approachable, not expensive. He rehearsed in the mirror. "Hi, Eli. I'm your dad, and I'm sorry." Hollow. "I know this is confusing." Worse. He gave up on scripts. At 1:45 he parked outside Simone's house. Breathed, checked his reflection. Breathed again. At exactly 2, he knocked. Simone opened immediately. She'd been watching. Jeans, soft sweater, hair loose. She looked nervous. "Ready?" Marcus shook his head. "Not even a little." Her mouth quirked. "Good. That means you understand what's at stake." She stepped back. "Come in." Eli's in the living room. Marcus crossed the threshold. The home radiated warmth his condo lacked. Eli's crayon drawings magneted to the fridge. Family photos clustered on walls. Toys organized in bins. Joyce occupied an armchair like a judge. Her stare promised consequences. Eli sat cross-legged on the floor. Legos scattered, building something intricate. He glanced up. Green eyes met green eyes. Marcus forgot how to breathe. The living room felt smaller with Marcus inside it. Afternoon light streamed through the windows, warming the space, but tension coiled tight beneath the domestic calm. Simone gestured toward the couch. Marcus perched on the edge, spine rigid. Eli remained on the floor with his Legos, hands busy but eyes darting toward the stranger who'd invaded his Saturday. Joyce hadn't budged from her armchair, arms crossed, expression carved from stone. Simone lowered herself to the floor near Eli, positioning her body between her son and this man who'd forfeited the right to easy access, buffer and bridge. "Eli, you remember the man who came by last week?" Her voice carried that particular gentleness reserved for difficult conversations. Eli nodded, a yellow Lego brick suspended in his small fingers. "The man who looked surprised?" "That's right." Simone's smile flickered, soft and strained. "This is Marcus, and we need to talk to you about something important." Eli set down the brick, turned to face them properly, legs crossed, hands in his lap. 7 years old and already reading the room's gravity. Simone explained in language stripped of adult complexity. Marcus was Eli's biological father. They'd been married before Eli was born, but things changed. Weren't together anymore when Eli arrived. She emphasized the crucial truth. None of this was Eli's fault. Adults made complicated choices sometimes. Eli absorbed this with startling calm, processing information that would shatter some children. Then he asked the question that cracked Marcus open. "Why didn't you come before?" Marcus's throat constricted. Every parenting book he'd consumed offered nothing for this moment. "Because I didn't know about you." The words scraped out. "Your mom tried to tell me, but I wasn't listening. I made bad choices, and I missed out on knowing you. That's my fault, not yours or your mom's." Eli tilted his head, considering. Those green eyes, Marcus's eyes, searched his face for lies. "Do you want to know me now?" The directness children wielded like surgical instruments. No pretense, no politeness obscuring truth. Marcus nodded, eyes burning. "More than anything." "Where do you live?" "Downtown in an apartment building." "What do you do?" "I help companies with their computer systems." "Do you like soccer?" "I don't know much about it, but I'd like to learn." Practical questions, each one answered under Joyce's laser scrutiny and Simone's careful monitoring. After 30 minutes, Eli returned his attention to the Lego spaceship, taking shape on the carpet. "Do you want to help?" An olive branch extended in primary colors. Marcus slid off the couch, expensive jeans meeting worn carpet, all his research suddenly useless. He followed a 7-year-old's patient instructions on attaching wings, fumbling with pieces too small for his hands, learning a language he'd never studied. The afternoon unfolded in fragile increments. After 2 hours, Simone intervened gently. "Time for Marcus to go, baby. You've got homework, and Grandma's making dinner." Eli examined their completed spaceship, then looked up. "Can you come back?" Marcus's gaze shot to Simone. She nodded, almost imperceptible. "If you want me to, absolutely." "When?" "We'll figure out a schedule," Simone said. "Maybe Marcus can come by next Saturday, too." Eli accepted this with a shrug. Marcus stood uncertain. Hug? Handshake? What was the protocol for greeting a son you'd just met? Eli solved it. Bye, Marcus. Returned to examining their creation. Marcus's eyes found Simone's, gratitude and terror braided together. Thank you, he mouthed. She walked him to the door. On the porch, Marcus kept his voice low. I know I don't deserve this chance. Simone's response came firm and immediate. You're right. You don't. But Eli deserves the chance to know his father, if that father is willing to do the work. Don't make me regret this. Marcus nodded, understanding probation when he saw it. As he reached his car, Eli's voice drifted through the screen door. Mom, is it okay if I like him? Simone's answer was too quiet to catch, but Marcus drove away, carrying something foreign and terrifying. Purpose. 2 weeks dissolved into routine. Mid-November arrived, mornings sharp with frost, leaves curling brown on Simone's small lawn. Marcus's Saturdays had reshaped themselves around a single fixed point. 2 p.m. at a modest house across town. He sat in his condo that Saturday morning, laptop open to a proposal for a potential client. The words blurred. His mind kept drifting to the afternoon, to whether Eli would show him more drawings, whether Joyce might actually speak to him beyond monosyllables. The doorbell interrupted his distraction. Brian stood in the hallway with 2 coffees, his weekly check-in ritual. 2 weeks on schedule. Brian handed over the cup. That's good. Marcus accepted it, something tight in his chest loosening. Hardest thing I've ever done. And most rewarding. The admission felt strange in his mouth. He's brilliant, Brian, funny. Asked me yesterday why clouds don't fall down. Marcus shook his head. I had no idea how to answer. Brian's grin split wide. Welcome to parenting. At 2 p.m. exactly, Marcus knocked. Routine now. Muscle memory replacing terror. Eli opened the door himself. Evolution. Small but seismic. Hi. The greeting came easier than 2 weeks ago. Hey, bud. Simone appeared behind Eli, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Come in, Eli. Let Marcus get through the door. The living room welcomed him with familiar warmth. Lego structures colonizing the coffee table, Joyce in her sentinel position, Simone's presence a steady gravitational pull. Eli has a soccer game tomorrow, Simone said, settling onto the couch. 10 a.m. at Riverside Park. She paused, something shifting in her expression. You're welcome to come if you want. Marcus's response came too fast, too eager. Yes, absolutely. Eli's head snapped up from the Lego spaceship he'd been adjusting. Hope flared in those green eyes, Marcus's eyes, then banked carefully. The afternoon unfolded in established rhythms. Eli produced a story from his backpack, laboriously printed. The Boy Who Visited Mars. Marcus read every word twice, asked questions, watched his son's face illuminate with pride. They played checkers. Eli won. Marcus didn't let him. The kid possessed sharp spatial reasoning. Joyce left the room at 3:30, just to refill her water glass. But still, she left. At 4 p.m., Marcus stood to go. The goodbyes came easier now, less jagged. You'll really come? Eli's question carried weight. To my game. Marcus crouched to eye level. I promise. The words landed heavy. Promises meant something in this house. Broken ones left scars. Eli nodded slowly, passing truth from performance. After the door closed, Simone found Eli on the couch, quiet. What do you think of Marcus? Eli's shoulders lifted, fell. He's nice. But. Eli struggled. 7-year-old vocabulary wrestling adult concepts. I don't know if he'll stay. Simone pulled him close. That's okay to feel, baby. He has to earn your trust. Like in your stories, where people have to prove they're good? Exactly like that. Sunday morning arrived crystalline and cold. Marcus woke at 6, nerves humming. He dressed deliberately. Jeans, thermal Henley, jacket from 3 years ago. Nothing flashy. Meeting her world, not flaunting his. Riverside Park sprawled chaotic when he arrived at 9:45. Kids in mismatched uniforms swarmed, parents clustered with thermoses, portable goals tilted on uneven ground. He spotted Simone and Joyce on the sideline, folding chairs, blanket preparation. Joyce's nod qualified as greeting. Progress. You're early. Simone's surprise was transparent. You said 10. Didn't want to risk traffic. Footsteps pounded grass. Eli materialized in royal blue uniform, face splitting into genuine delight. You came. Marcus's throat closed. I said I would. The smile Eli gave him could have powered cities. As the game started, Marcus stood beside Simone. Eli moved across the field, quick, aware, encouraging teammates when they stumbled. "He's amazing," Marcus breathed. Simone's voice stayed quiet. "He is, and you're getting to know him because I'm letting you. Don't forget that. Reminder, not threat. I won't." Eli scored 15 minutes in. Pure joy exploded across his small face as he turned toward the sideline, to his mom first, then to Marcus. Checking. Marcus was already cheering, ridiculous and loud, and Eli's smile widened to something incandescent. In that crystallized moment, Marcus understood exactly what he'd almost destroyed forever. The following Saturday arrived with low grey clouds and the promise of rain. Marcus pulled up at 1:58 p.m. He'd learned that arriving early felt presumptuous, arriving late inexcusable. The narrow window of punctuality had become sacred. Eli answered the door, but something was off. His smile came slower. His "Hi, Marcus" carried a faint rasp. "Hey, buddy." Marcus stepped inside, noting the wheeze beneath Eli's breathing. Simone emerged from the hallway, dish towel over her shoulder. "He's been fighting a cold all week. Seemed better this morning." She studied Eli with the vigilance mothers develop. "You okay, baby?" "I'm fine." Eli coughed once, dismissive. Joyce's voice drifted from the back of the house. "Something about the grocery store. Be back in an hour." The front door closed. Marcus registered the absence. Just the three of them now. Another incremental expansion of trust. "Brought something." Marcus produced a puzzle box, solar system, 500 pieces. "Thought we could work on it." Eli's eyes brightened despite the congestion. They settled at the dining table, Simone returning to the kitchen where she'd been prepping vegetables. Close enough to hear, far enough to give space. Pieces clicked together. Eli narrated his school project on Jupiter, hands sorting edge pieces with surprising dexterity for 7. "Mr. Patterson says it has 79 moons. Can you imagine?" Marcus couldn't, honestly, but he listened. Eli's enthusiasm made everything sound miraculous. The great red spot, the idea of storms lasting centuries. "What's your favorite planet?" Eli asked. "Saturn." Marcus fit 2 pieces together. "The rings." "Mine's Mars because—" The sentence fractured into coughing, deep rattling coughs that bent Eli forward. His small body convulsed with the effort. Simone materialized instantly. "Eli, baby!" The coughs wouldn't stop. Eli sucked air between spasms, each inhale whistling wrong. His hands reached for the coffee table, fumbling, panic flooding his features as breathing became work instead of instinct. Simone grabbed the inhaler, shaking it once. "Okay, baby." Slow breath. She administered the puff with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd done this before. Too many times. Again. Second puff. Eli tried to breathe deep, but the wheeze intensified. His lips carried a bluish tinge that made Marcus's stomach drop. Not improving. Simone's voice stayed level, but urgency bled through. "We need to go to the ER." Marcus stood. "My car, now." No debate. No questions about whether it was serious enough, whether they should wait. He grabbed his keys. Simone scooped Eli up, still small enough to carry, and Marcus held the door. They moved as a unit, Simone sliding into the back seat with Eli cradled against her chest. "Nearest hospital?" Marcus started the engine. "Memorial. Take Bridgeport to 5th. Turn—" "I know it." Marcus pulled out, speed controlled but urgent. His hands trembled on the wheel, but his voice emerged steady. "Eli, look at me, buddy." Frightened eyes found his in the rearview mirror. "You're going to be okay. Just breathe. Slow, like your mom's showing you. We're almost there." "Hurts." Eli's whisper cracked. "I know. But you're tough, right? Toughest kid I know." Simone's face was terror, barely leashed, but she stroked Eli's hair, counting breaths, murmuring reassurance. She didn't question Marcus driving, didn't grab for control. She trusted him. That trust felt heavier than anything Marcus had ever carried. A week after the hospital incident, Marcus sat across from Simone at her small dining table. Early December darkness pressed against the windows, the kitchen light casting a warm glow over the worn wood surface. Eli slept down the hall, his bedroom door cracked open. Joyce's television murmured from the living room. She'd retreated there deliberately, granting them space while remaining close enough to intervene if needed. Simone had made tea. The gesture felt significant, domestic in a way their previous interactions hadn't been. I wrote out his schedule. She slid a handwritten page across the table. Her penmanship was neat, practiced from years of daycare lesson plans. School, soccer practice, Tuesday and Thursday, homework routine, bedtime. Marcus studied it like a contract requiring memorization. He pulled out his phone, began taking notes. Every other Sunday, Simone said. You can have him for the full day. Outside the house, build your relationship independently. She paused, measuring her next words. And 1 weeknight dinner per week. We'll start there. No overnights yet, Marcus finished for her. No overnights yet, she confirmed. He needs routine, stability. We build up slowly. Whatever you think is best. Marcus meant it. Simone's expression shifted, testing his sincerity. You need to know his medical history, emergency protocols, what scares him, what he loves. She counted items on her fingers. He's terrified of thunderstorms, gets under the covers and won't come out. He's obsessed with dinosaurs and space. He has a stuffed bear called Mr. Fuzzy that he's had since the hospital the day he was born, and he asks questions before bed, deep ones about life and death and where people go, that I'm still learning how to answer. Marcus absorbed it all, overwhelmed, 7 years of knowledge compressed into bullet points. How did you manage? The question escaped before he could stop it. Alone, I mean. Simone wrapped her hands around her mug. It was hard. Some months I didn't know how we'd make rent, but I had Mom and I had Eli. That was enough. The guilt sat in Marcus's chest like a stone. I'm sorry. Inadequate, but true. Simone didn't absolve him. Her voice dropped, steel beneath the softness. I need you to understand. Eli is my whole world. If you hurt him, if you disappear when this gets hard, I will never forgive you. Marcus held her gaze. I won't. You don't know that yet. Her honesty was brutal and fair. Neither do I. Marcus and Eli stood beneath the towering Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton, afternoon light filtering through the museum's glass ceiling. Eli's head tilted back, mouth open in pure awe. It's even bigger than in pictures. Marcus looked up at the massive reconstruction, ancient bone and careful wire, teeth like daggers frozen mid-roar. But his attention kept drifting to his son's face, the wonder there so unguarded, it made his chest ache. They'd already done breakfast. Chocolate chip pancakes at a diner 2 blocks from Simone's house. Eli ordering without hesitation and then launching into detailed analysis of his entire second-grade class. Marcus had listened, asking questions, learning that Sophie shared her snacks and that Jacob sometimes said mean things, but his parents were getting divorced, so Mrs. Patterson said they should be patient with him. Now Eli pulled him from exhibit to exhibit, reading placards aloud in his careful voice, stopping to share facts he already knew. Did you know some dinosaurs had feathers? Mrs. Patterson showed us pictures. I didn't know that. Most people don't. Eli moved to the next display, utterly confident in his element. Marcus followed, struck by the intelligence in every question Eli asked, the curiosity that drove him from case to case. These were traits he recognized, his own love of learning, of systems and patterns. But Simone had nurtured them. Simone had answered the endless questions, bought the books, brought him here before Marcus even knew he existed. At the gift shop, Eli pressed his face to the glass, eyeing the stuffed animals. Marcus didn't ask, just pointed to the Triceratops. That one? Eli's eyes went wide. Really? Really? The toy wasn't expensive, just meaningful. Eli clutched it to his chest as they left, and in the cafe over grilled cheese, he announced solemnly, I'm naming him Marcus Jr. The shy smile that accompanied it knocked the air from Marcus's lungs. That's perfect. Eli took a bite, swinging his legs under the table. Mrs. Patterson gives really hard math homework. Mom helps, but she's not very good at numbers. He said it matter-of-factly, no judgment. Marcus remembered Simone's admitted anxiety with anything beyond basic arithmetic, how she'd laughed about it during their marriage. I could help. With homework, I mean. He paused. If that's okay with your mum. Eli nodded enthusiastically, cheese stretching from his sandwich. That would be awesome. The afternoon glowed. They finished lunch, wandered through minerals and gems, and Eli explained plate tectonics with surprising accuracy. Marcus made mental notes. His son loved science, processed information visually, asked questions that built on previous answers. In the car heading back, windows darkening with early winter dusk, Eli went quiet. Marcus glanced in the rearview mirror. You okay, buddy? Are you going to stay? The question came soft, almost swallowed by the heater's hum. Marcus's hands tightened on the wheel. He pulled into a parking lot, cut the engine, turned in his seat. What do you mean? Eli stared at Marcus Jr. in his lap, small fingers gripping the toy's horns. My friend Tyler's dad left when he was little. He said dads do that sometimes. He looked up and his eyes, Marcus's own eyes, brimmed with uncertainty. Are you going to leave again? Marcus unbuckled, shifting to face him properly. Every business negotiation, every difficult conversation he'd ever navigated felt useless now. Eli, I'm not going anywhere. I know I wasn't here before, and that was wrong. But I'm here now, and I'm staying. I promise you. Eli's eyes filled. One tear spilled over, tracking down his cheek. But what if you get tired of me? The question shattered something in Marcus's chest. He reached back, and Eli's hand found his, small and warm and terrified. I could never get tired of you. Never. You're my son, and getting to know you is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Thursday evening, Marcus arrived at 6 p.m. with Thai takeout. He'd texted Simone that afternoon, "What does everyone like?" A small consideration that hadn't gone unnoticed. Joyce answered the door. Her expression wasn't warm, but it wasn't hostile either. "Eli's been waiting for you." Inside, Eli sat at the dining table, math homework spread before him like a battlefield. His face lit up when Marcus appeared. "You came. Promised I would." They ate together at the small table, passing containers of pad thai and spring rolls. Joyce asked Marcus about his work, her tone evaluating but no longer sharp. "Tech consulting. I help companies optimize their systems." Eli looked up from his noodles. "So you help with computers?" "Something like that." "That's cool. My friend's dad fixes cars." Marcus smiled at the comparison. His million-dollar contracts reduced to the same level as brake jobs. It felt right. After dinner, they tackled the math packet. Marcus discovered teaching his son was harder than pitching investors, but infinitely more rewarding. "Okay, so if you have 12 cookies and you want to share them equally with 4 friends," Eli chewed his pencil. "Everyone gets 3? "Exactly. You've got this." 2 weeks passed. Mid-December now. Christmas approaching. A rhythm developed that felt almost normal. Marcus had Eli every other Sunday. Museums, parks, a movie about talking cars. Plus Thursday dinners, homework help, Joyce's pot roast or Simone's chicken. The monitoring eased. Simone ran errands during Marcus's visits, trusting him alone with Eli. Joyce offered coffee unprompted, set an extra place at dinner without being asked. One Sunday, Marcus took Eli to his condo for the first time. Eli walked through the space slowly, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the minimalist furniture, the echoing silence. "You live here alone? It's so big." Marcus saw his home through his son's eyes, empty despite its luxury, sterile despite its expense. "It is big, and it is lonely. That's why I'd rather be at your house with you." Eli grinned, flopping onto the leather couch. "Can we order pizza?" They watched a superhero movie on Marcus's massive TV, eating pizza straight from the box. Eli fell asleep during the credits, head on Marcus's shoulder. Marcus sat perfectly still, afraid to wake him, thinking his sterile condo had never felt like home the way Simone's crowded rental did. 3 weeks before Christmas, after Thursday dinner, where they'd all laughed at Eli's elaborate tale about a class hamster's escape, Marcus lingered. Eli had gone to bed. Simone walked Marcus to the porch, their routine now. The night was cold, Christmas lights twinkling on neighboring houses. "Thank you for letting me in, for giving me this chance with him." Simone wrapped her cardigan tighter. "You're doing the work, Marcus. That's why it's working." Comfortable silence stretched between them. Marcus almost reached for her hand, caught himself. "Can I ask, do you ever think about us before everything went wrong?" Simone's expression shifted. "Sometimes, but we can't go back, Marcus." "I know, but maybe," he struggled, "maybe we could go forward." "Marcus, not now. I'm not asking for anything now. I just want you to know that losing you was the biggest mistake of my life, and if there's ever a chance, even a small one." Simone was quiet. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "Focus on being Eli's father first. That's what matters. Not rejection, not encouragement either." Marcus nodded, understanding he had to earn this too. He drove home with hope and longing tangled in his chest. Behind him, Simone stood on her porch watching his taillights disappear, hand pressed to her racing heart. Saturday evening in mid-December found Marcus at a downtown bar with Brian, their first social outing in weeks. Marcus had been dedicating every weekend to Eli, restructuring his entire life around custody schedules and soccer games. Brian studied him over his bourbon. "You seem different. Lighter." Marcus nodded, swirling his glass. "I feel different." He paused. "I told Simone I wanted a second chance. With her, not just Eli." Brian's eyebrows rose. "What did she say?" To focus on being Eli's father first. Smart woman. Brian leaned forward. Can I ask you something? Have you actually apologized to her? Not the generic, I'm sorry you throw around. Specifically for how you left. Marcus frowned. I've said I'm sorry dozens of times. For what exactly? The question landed hard. Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. He'd apologized for missing Eli's life, for not being there, for his choices. But had he named the cruelty? The specific wounds? Brian pressed. What do you need to apologize for, Marcus? Say it out loud. Marcus's jaw tightened. The inventory was brutal, calling Simone unambitious, saying she embarrassed him at networking events, serving divorce papers without conversation, blocking her on everything, instructing his assistant to bar her from his office, ignoring her attempts to reach him for months. And the worst part. I showed up at her house 7 years later specifically to mock her, to gloat about her struggling financially. The words tasted like ash. She was a single mother working 2 jobs, and I came there to make her feel small so I could feel big. What kind of person does that? Brian's expression was grave. Someone deeply unhappy with himself who needed to feel superior. But you're not that person anymore. How do you know? Because that person wouldn't be sitting here cataloging his failures. He'd be justifying them. Brian signaled for another round. Tell her all of this specifically, not because you want something from her, because she deserves to hear you understand what you did. Sunday, Marcus drafted and deleted a dozen messages. Nothing felt adequate. This required his physical presence, his undefended face, his willingness to sit in her pain without excuses. Monday evening at 7, a non-scheduled day, he knocked on Simone's door. She answered in sweatpants and an oversized sweater, hair piled in a messy bun. Surprise crossed her features. Is everything okay? Can we talk? Joyce appeared behind Simone, reading the tension. She collected her tea without a word and disappeared down the hall. They sat on the porch. December cold bit through Marcus's jacket, but he barely noticed. I need to apologize to you properly, not just for leaving, but for every specific way I hurt you. Simone wrapped her arms around herself, waiting. Marcus didn't soften it. He named each cruelty, the contempt he'd shown for her dreams, the public dismissals at parties, the emotional abandonment as his business grew, the cold delivery of divorce papers, blocking her completely, refusing to hear her when she tried to reach him. And then I showed up here months ago to mock your poverty. I was miserable in my success, and you seemed happy in your simplicity, and it enraged me because it meant I'd sacrificed the wrong things. So I came to tear you down to make myself feel better. His voice broke. That's unforgivable, Simone. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just need you to know that I see it all and I'm ashamed, and you deserved none of it. Simone's eyes filled. Her hands trembled. Do you know what it did to me? Thinking I wasn't enough? That I embarrassed you? I know, and I was so wrong. You were always enough. You were everything. I was the one who wasn't enough. Not for you, not for myself. She cried then, years of carried hurt releasing into the cold night. Marcus stayed motionless, understanding she needed space to feel it without his comfort diluting the reality. When she finally spoke, her voice was raw. Thank you for saying all of that, for seeing it. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. I don't know if I can ever fully forgive you, Marcus. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm going to keep showing up anyway, for Eli, and because trying to be better is the only thing I can do. They sat in silence as distant traffic hummed and neighbors' Christmas lights blinked against the darkness. Something painful but necessary had passed between them, the foundation for whatever came next, a bit more solid for being built on truth instead of avoidance. A week before Christmas, Eli bounced in his chair during Thursday dinner, barely touching his spaghetti. He turned to Marcus, eyes bright. What do you do for Christmas at your house? Marcus set down his fork. I don't usually do much. Sometimes dinner with my parents or I catch up on work. You work on Christmas? Eli's face scrunched in confusion. Sometimes. Don't you have a tree? Marcus shook his head, the admission landing heavy. Through his son's eyes he saw it clearly, the emptiness of his pristine condo, void of tradition or warmth. Eli's expression crumpled. He turned to Simone with sudden urgency. Can Marcus do Christmas with us? Simone's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Across the table, Joyce's eyebrows lifted. The question hung there, weightier than its simple words suggested. Eli, honey. Simone set her fork down carefully. We need to think about that, okay? Eli's face fell. He nodded, pushing spaghetti around his plate and the rest of dinner carried a disappointed quiet. After Eli went to bed, Simone found Joyce in the kitchen, wrapping cookies for the church bake sale. She leaned against the counter. "I don't know what to tell him." Joyce didn't look up from her wrapping. "About Christmas? It feels like a big step. He's Eli's father." Joyce secured ribbon around a tin. "Maybe he should be here." Simone blinked. "Really?" Joyce finally met her eyes. "That man has shown up every single time for 3 months. He's earned this." She returned to her cookies. "Besides," Eli asked, "that matters." The next day, Simone called Marcus. "About Christmas morning. You don't have to—" "Stop. I'm inviting you. Opening presents, then breakfast if you want to come." Marcus's voice went thick. "I want to. Very much." "Okay then. 8 o'clock. Simone?" He paused. "Thank you. I know what this means." "Do you? You're letting me into your family. I don't take that lightly." After they hung up, Marcus sat with the weight of it. He asked Simone what Eli wanted. The dinosaur encyclopedia set, anything about space, but he also asked about Simone and Joyce. "Marcus, you don't have to—" "I want to, please," she told him. Joyce loved that cooking show with the Southern chef, watched it every weekend. Simone used to write poetry but hadn't in years. The week before Christmas, Marcus searched with purpose. The dinosaur encyclopedia set for Eli, plus books about constellations. For Joyce, the cookbook from her favorite chef, signed because Marcus made calls. For Simone, a leather-bound journal, simple and beautiful. He wrote in the front cover, "For all the words I hope you'll write again, you have so much beauty to share." Christmas morning arrived cold and clear. Marcus pulled up at 8 sharp, carrying wrapped gifts, his hands trembling slightly. Eli yanked the door open before Marcus could knock, launching himself forward. "You came." "Of course I came." The small living room glowed. A modest tree with mismatched ornaments collected over years, stockings hung by thumbtacks, the scent of Joyce's cinnamon rolls making everything feel like home. Wrapping paper exploded across the floor within minutes. Eli shrieked over the encyclopedias, immediately reading facts aloud about velociraptors. Joyce held the cookbook with genuine delight. "How did you know?" "Simone told me you loved his show." When Simone opened the journal, her eyes filled. She read Marcus's inscription twice, fingers tracing the words. "Marcus, you used to write, I remember. I stopped after—" She didn't finish, but they both knew, after he left. "Maybe you could start again." Breakfast was chaos and laughter. Eli's knock-knock jokes, Joyce's stories about Simone's childhood Christmases, Marcus helping clear plates without being asked. When he prepared to leave mid-morning, giving them their family time, Eli wrapped arms around his waist. "This was the best Christmas ever." Marcus's throat closed. "Mine too, buddy." Simone walked him to the porch. The December air bit cold, but neither moved toward the warm house. "Thank you for including me." Her smile reached her eyes. "You're part of his life now, Marcus. That means you're part of ours." The words settled between them, heavy with meaning. They stood close enough to touch, the pull undeniable, but neither closed the distance. Marcus left carrying the photo Simone had taken, him and Eli by the tree, matching grins, looking exactly like what they were, father and son, family. New Year's Eve arrived cold and clear. Marcus sat in his condo at 6:30, the city lights spreading below, no plans filling his evening. Brian was visiting family in Portland. His parents had extended their usual perfunctory invitation, which Marcus had declined. His phone buzzed. Simone's name appeared on the screen. "Eli wants to know if you'd come over for board games and apple cider at 8. Nothing fancy, just us. He's been asking all day." Marcus stared at the message, warmth flooding his chest. He typed back immediately, "I'll be there." He arrived at 8 with 2 bottles of sparkling cider, one for the adults and one alcohol-free for Eli. The house glowed with leftover Christmas lights Simone hadn't taken down yet. Eli answered the door in dinosaur pajamas, grinning. "You came. Wouldn't miss it." The evening unfolded easy and warm. They played Uno first, then Sorry, Joyce providing running commentary that had them all laughing. Simone wore soft clothes, leggings and an oversized sweater that kept slipping off one shoulder, her hair loose around her face. Marcus caught himself watching her when she wasn't looking, the way her nose crinkled when she laughed at Eli's terrible strategy. By 9, Eli was slumped against the couch arm, fighting to keep his eyes open during Monopoly. Joyce nudged him gently. "Come on, baby. Bed." Eli roused enough to hug Marcus, warm and sleep-heavy. "Happy New Year, Dad?" The word landed direct in Marcus's heart. Dad. Not Marcus. Just Dad. Like it had always been that way. Happy New Year, buddy. Joyce steered Eli toward the hallway, then returned 15 minutes later. He's out cold. She glanced at the TV where the New Year's countdown played on mute. I'm heading to bed too. Don't stay up too late. She disappeared down the hall, leaving Marcus and Simone alone on the couch, the house settling into quiet around them. Simone tucked her legs under her. Can you believe it's been almost 4 months since I showed up here to be cruel? Marcus's voice went rough. No. It feels like another life. It was. She turned to face him. You've become a good father, Marcus. I'm proud of you. The words squeezed his throat. I've never been happier, despite everything being more complicated. Or because of it. Yeah, maybe. On the TV, the countdown hit 60 seconds. Neither of them watched, eyes on each other instead. Simone! Marcus! They stopped, laughed nervously. 10 seconds. 9. 8. Happy New Year, Simone whispered as the screen erupted in celebration. Happy New Year! They sat inches apart, the air charged. Marcus made himself ask, voice barely audible. Can I kiss you? Simone's breath caught. The pause stretched agonizing. Then she nodded, just slightly. He leaned in slow, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Their lips met gentle, tentative, and the kiss held 7 years of history, grief and longing, and hope all tangled together. When they pulled apart, both were shaking. I don't know what this means, Simone whispered. Neither do I. Marcus's hand found hers. But I know I'm still in love with you. I think I never stopped. The living room held them, Eli cross-legged on the floor sorting game pieces, Joyce in her armchair with knowing eyes, Simone curled on the couch, watching her son with soft attention. Marcus settled beside her, careful to maintain respectful distance. Can we play Monopoly? Eli held up the battered box. That game takes forever, baby. Simone smiled. How about Sorry? But it's New Year's. We should stay up late. Joyce chuckled. You won't make it to midnight, sweetheart. Yes, I will. Eli's indignation made them all laugh. They played Sorry first, Eli winning through a combination of luck and dramatic celebrations every time he sent someone's piece back to start. Marcus trash-talked like Eli was a business competitor, making the boys shriek with laughter. Joyce won the second game through strategic ruthlessness that surprised no one. By 9, Eli had transitioned to building a blanket fort, insisting Marcus help engineer the structural integrity. They draped Afghans over chairs, while Simone provided architectural commentary. The fort collapsed twice before achieving stability. It's perfect, Eli announced, crawling inside with his new dinosaur encyclopedia. He lasted 15 minutes before his head drooped against Marcus's shoulder. The book slipped from his hands. Someone's not making midnight. Joyce's voice held affection. Simone gently extracted Eli from the fort. Come on, baby. Let's get you to bed. Eli roused enough to protest. But the countdown, we'll tell you all about it tomorrow. Simone guided him toward the hallway. Eli turned back, sleep-heavy and unguarded. Happy New Year, Dad. The word landed like benediction. Marcus's throat closed. Happy New Year, buddy. Joyce followed them down the hall, leaving Marcus alone in the living room surrounded by blanket fort ruins and game boards. The TV played its countdown coverage to an empty room. Simone returned 10 minutes later, settling onto the couch with visible exhaustion. He was asleep before his head hit the pillow. Big day. Big year. She met his eyes. I didn't think last January that any of this was possible. Neither did I. The TV showed Times Square crowds, the ball beginning its descent. Simone pulled her knees up, hugging them. Are you glad that you came back that day? Marcus considered the question seriously. I'm ashamed of why I came, but I'm grateful for what happened after. Me too. Her voice went quiet. I thought I'd hate you forever. You had every right. The countdown reached 30 seconds. The studio audience's energy poured through the speakers, joy and anticipation and the promise of fresh starts. They sat close enough that Marcus could smell her shampoo, something floral and clean. His pulse hammered. The year was ending. Everything was ending and beginning simultaneously. 10, 9, 8. Simone turned toward him. The distance between them measured in inches and 7 years of history. 7, 6, 5. Marcus made himself ask. Can I kiss you? Her breath caught. The moment stretched impossibly. Then she nodded. He leaned in as the crowd roared Happy New Year. Their lips met gentle and tentative, testing whether what they'd once had could exist again. The kiss held questions neither could answer yet. When they pulled apart, Simone's eyes were wide. I don't know what this means. The winter carnival spread across the park in cheerful chaos, striped tents, the mechanical groan of rides, vendors hawking candied almonds and roasted corn. Marcus stood with Simone near the entrance, watching Eli bounce on his toes while Joyce consulted the event map and Brian bought tickets. "Ferris wheel first," Eli declared. "Your mom gets dizzy on those." Marcus nudged Simone gently. She swatted his arm, the casual touch still novel. "I get motion sick. There's a difference. Subtle one." Joyce glanced up from the map, eyebrow raised at their banter. The knowing smile she tried to hide made Simone's cheeks warm. The afternoon unfolded in golden snapshots. Eli dragged Marcus onto the tilt-a-whirl, both of them stumbling off green-faced and laughing. Joyce won an enormous stuffed penguin at the ring toss, presenting it to Eli with theatrical ceremony. Brian bought everyone corn dogs, teasing Marcus about mustard on his collar like they were teenagers. "You look happy," Brian said later, while the others admired handmade crafts at a vendor booth. Like, genuinely happy. Marcus watched Simone crouch to Eli's level, examining a wooden puzzle box together. "I didn't know this existed. Feeling like this." "Like what?" "Complete." Near the exit, Eli spotted the photo booth, a vintage-looking setup with velvet curtain. "Can we take pictures, all of us?" The booth barely fit 5 adults and one wiggling 7-year-old. They squeezed in, laughing before the first flash. Serious faces. Silly faces. Eli kissing both parents' cheeks simultaneously, while Joyce and Brian photobombed behind them, the strips printed with mechanical efficiency. Eli clutched his copy like treasure. Walking toward the parking lot, Eli grabbed both parents' hands, swinging between them. An older woman passing smiled. "What a beautiful family." Marcus's eyes found Simone's over Eli's head. Her expression mirrored what he felt. Hope and terror braided tight. Simone's kitchen smelled like Joyce's pot roast. Eli sprawled on the living room floor showing Brian his carnival haul. The penguin, a plastic sword, temporary tattoos. "I wish we could live together," Eli announced, "like a real family." The room crystallized into silence. Marcus's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Simone's breath caught. Joyce suddenly found the roast potatoes fascinating. "Eli, honey." Simone set down her water glass carefully. "This is a real family. Families look lots of different ways. But don't you and Dad like each other?" Eli sat up, earnest. Like? Marcus couldn't lie to those green eyes, his eyes. "We do, buddy. We like each other very much." Eli's grin could have powered the city. "So, you could get married again." "That's not how it works, baby." Simone moved to the floor beside him. "Grown-ups take things slow, but you're happy together. I can tell." Marcus's laptop screen blurred as he reviewed quarterly projections, numbers losing meaning around 9 p.m. The condo was silent. Too silent. The way it always felt on nights Eli wasn't texting him random facts about planets, or Simone wasn't sending photos of dinner. The doorbell shattered the quiet. Marcus frowned, closing his laptop. Brian would have texted. He wasn't expecting anyone. Vanessa Reed stood in his doorway, cashmere coat perfectly tailored, phone clutched in her manicured hand like evidence. Her expression mixed hurt and fury. "We need to talk." She brushed past him before he could respond, heels clicking across his hardwood floor. Marcus's stomach dropped. "Vanessa, what?" "You have a son." Not a question. An accusation. She thrust her phone at him. The screen showed carnival photos. Simone's friend had tagged her. Eli grinned between his parents in one shot, all three laughing at something off camera. Marcus's mouth went dry. "How old is he, Marcus?" 7, 8. Vanessa's voice climbed. "We were together 8 months. You never mentioned an ex-wife. Never mentioned a child. It's complicated." "Don't," she cut him off. "Don't insult me with excuses." Marcus forced himself to meet her eyes. "I didn't know about Eli until 6 months ago. I swear. His mother tried to tell me years ago, but I—" He stopped, the explanation sounding hollow even to himself. "But you what? Blocked her, ignored her?" Vanessa laughed bitterly. "God, I was so stupid. You were never really there, were you? Even when we talked about getting married." The truth of it made Marcus wince. He'd proposed to Vanessa because it seemed like what successful men did, not because he loved her, not the way he loved Simone. "You're right," Marcus admitted quietly. "I wasn't fully present. I'm sorry." His honesty seemed to enrage her more. Are you back with her? The mother. Marcus hesitated half a second too long. Vanessa's expression hardened. People should know what kind of man you are, Marcus. What kind of father abandons his kid for 7 years? She left before he could respond, the door clicking shut with terrible finality. Marcus grabbed his phone, hands shaking. Brian answered on the first ring. You sound like someone died. Vanessa just showed up. She saw photos of Eli online. Marcus paced his living room. She's furious. She threatened. Brian, I think she's going to do something. Tell Simone, now, before Vanessa does. Marcus was already texting. Friday afternoon, Simone pushed a shopping cart through the drugstore aisles, grabbing supplies for the daycare center. 2 days since Marcus's confession about Vanessa. 2 days of his texts unanswered, her phone heavy with his voicemails she couldn't bring herself to hear. Simone Hayes? She turned. The woman approaching wore designer everything, coat, bag, boots that cost more than Simone's monthly rent. Recognition clicked. The face from those carnival photos cropped out but visible in the background of someone's share. Vanessa Reed. We need to talk. Vanessa's voice carried through the aisle. Simone's stomach dropped. I don't think you should know what kind of man you're letting back into your life. Louder now. Shoppers slowed, watching. Heat crawled up Simone's neck. This isn't the place. Why not? Everyone should know. Vanessa stepped closer, phone gripped tight, knuckles white. Did he tell you he proposed to me? That he never mentioned having a son? That he blocked me the same way he blocked you? Simone's cart handle dug into her palms. Our situation is complicated. Complicated. Vanessa laughed, sharp and bitter. You trapped him with a baby. That's not complicated, that's manipulation. The words landed like slaps. An older woman 2 aisles over held up her phone, recording. I didn't trap anyone. Simone's voice shook, despite her new lead to stay calm. You don't know anything about what happened. I know he's still the same man who abandoned you. Vanessa's smile was cruel. You think he's changed? He'll do it again. The moment things get hard, the moment you're not convenient anymore, he'll leave. It's what he does. Simone abandoned her cart, walking toward the exit. Vanessa followed. He lied to me about everything. That's who Marcus is. A liar who uses people and throws them away. Simone pushed through the automatic doors, tears blurring the parking lot. Behind her, Vanessa's voice carried, Don't say I didn't warn you. The car door shut, sealing her in silence, except for her ragged breathing. She pressed her forehead against the steering wheel as sobs broke free, not just from the confrontation, but from 7 years of buried shame. Not good enough for his world. Never good enough. She barely saw the road home. Joyce opened the door, took one look at Simone's face and pulled her inside. Baby, what happened? Simone collapsed into her mother's arms, the story spilling out between gasps. The weekend arrived wrapped in silence. 3 days since the drugstore confrontation, and Marcus's phone showed the evidence. 12 unread messages, 5 calls declined, desperate apologies disappearing into the void. Saturday night, the text landed like a death sentence. Not tomorrow. Eli's not ready. Sunday morning, Marcus drove to her house anyway. Not to push, just to understand how completely he'd lost them. Simone answered, looking hollowed out, shadows beneath her eyes. I said not today. Joyce materialized behind her, arms crossed, guardian resuming her post. Beyond them, Eli sat at the kitchen table, shoulders hunched, the picture of childhood sadness. 5 minutes. Marcus heard the pleading in his voice. Please. Simone stepped onto the porch, their space now feeling like a threshold he couldn't cross. I'm sorry. The words spilled out. About Vanessa. About not seeing this coming. About you getting hurt because of my... Stop! Simone's voice cracked. I'm not angry about her. I'm angry that being with you means this, drama, humiliation. People recording me in public thinking I trapped you with a baby. Her hands shook. I'm scared that Eli will grow up watching us struggle, hearing strangers say terrible things about his mother, wondering if his father actually changed, or if he's just playing house until something shinier comes along. The accusation hit like a fist. I'm not performing. This is real. You and Eli are everything. Tears spilled down her face. But is that enough? When it gets harder, and it will you stay? Or will you decide we're too much trouble, too embarrassing for your real life? Inside, Eli's head lifted, searching for them through the window. I'm not leaving. Marcus's desperation showed. I need you to believe that. I'm trying. Simone wiped her eyes roughly. But 4 months of showing up doesn't erase 7 years of you being gone. One crisis, and I'm right back to feeling like I'm not enough for your world. You were always enough. I was the one. I know what you were. She cut him off, exhausted. I need time to figure out if who you are now is strong enough to survive who you were. The silence stretched painful between them. How long? Marcus asked quietly. I don't know. A few weeks, maybe. His face crumbled. What about Eli? Simone's jaw tightened, the impossible choice visible. Saturdays. I'll bring him to your place, but I'm not staying. The compromise gutted him. His son, but not her. Can I talk to him? Marcus gestured toward the window where Eli still watched. 1 second. She nodded, stepping aside. Marcus crossed the threshold, crouching beside Eli's chair. The boy's eyes were red-rimmed. Hey, buddy, I'm sorry about today. Eli's lip trembled. Are you leaving again? The question shattered something in Marcus's chest. He gripped Eli's small shoulders. No, never. Your mom and I need to figure some grown-up stuff out, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll see you Saturday, okay? Eli nodded, uncertain, and Marcus pulled him into a fierce hug, memorizing the weight of his son in his arms. Outside, walking to his car, he heard Eli's voice drift through the door. Did I make you and Dad sad? Simone's reassurance came immediate and tender, but Marcus couldn't hear the words through the roaring in his ears. He sat in his car, staring at the photo booth strip on his dashboard. 4 faces laughing. A family that existed for one perfect afternoon. His hands shook as he dialed Brian. I'm losing them. His voice broke. What do I do? You fight, Brian said simply. Not with flowers or apologies. With truth. Show her who you really are when everything's falling apart. Monday arrived empty. Marcus sat in his home office, laptop open to a spreadsheet he couldn't process. Numbers blurred. The cursor blinked, waiting. Brian appeared at noon without knocking. Marcus had given him the door code months ago. Have you eaten? Marcus looked up, registered the question distantly. Couldn't remember breakfast or dinner last night. Brian pulled out his phone, ordered Thai delivery, then dragged a chair across from Marcus's desk. You look like hell. Thanks. When did you last shower? Marcus touched his jaw, felt 2 days of stubble, maybe 3. The food arrived. Brian unpacked it, pushed pad Thai across the desk. Eat. Marcus picked up the fork mechanically. After 3 bites, Brian leaned back. You're not the victim here. Marcus's hand stopped. Simone is protecting herself and Eli from getting hurt again. You want her back? Show her why you're worth the risk. I'm trying. Are you? Brian's tone sharpened. Or are you just sitting here feeling sorry for yourself? Marcus set down the fork. What do you want me to say? Tell me what really happened with Vanessa, the truth. I told you. She showed up, saw the photos, felt blindsided. Why didn't you tell her about Eli when you were together? Marcus opened his mouth, closed it. I didn't know about him then. You knew about Simone. You knew you'd been married. Why keep that hidden? The question landed like a fist. Marcus stared at his hands. Because Vanessa was part of old Marcus. The guy who measured worth by square footage and quarterly reports. I compartmentalized. She didn't need to know about my failed marriage because I wasn't that person with her. You can't compartmentalize people, Marcus. That's the problem. Brian leaned forward. Vanessa felt used because she was. You were going through motions in that relationship. The words stung because they were true. But this time is different, Marcus insisted. With Simone. Is it? Brian's eyes held no mercy. Or are you just chasing redemption? Is this about Simone and Eli or about proving you're not the man who abandoned his family? The room tilted. Marcus stood, paced to the window. Downtown stretched below, glass and steel reflecting nothing back. I love them. Do you? Or do you love what they represent? Your chance to be better. That's not... Marcus's voice cracked. That's not fair. Fair doesn't matter. Truth matters. Brian stood. Can you love Simone knowing she might never fully trust you? Can you be Eli's father even if Simone walks away? Or does your whole transformation collapse if you don't get forgiveness? Marcus pressed his forehead against the cold glass. Could he? I don't know, he whispered. Then figure it out. Brian's hand landed on his shoulder. Because until you do, you're still making this about you. Sunday afternoon, Marcus parked outside Simone's house with Eli chattering beside him about the movie they'd watched. 2 weeks since Vanessa. 2 weeks of logistics-only conversations. 2 weeks of Simone's careful distance. Eli bolted from the car before Marcus cut the engine, backpack bouncing. Joyce opened the door, accepting Eli's enthusiastic hug. Simone appeared behind her, framed in the doorway, shadows beneath her eyes, mouth tight with exhaustion. Marcus approached slowly. Eli was already inside, showing Joyce a drawing. Can we talk? The words came out rough. Really talk. Simone's shoulders sagged. Marcus, please. She studied him, something flickering across her face. Too tired to keep fighting, maybe. She stepped onto the porch, wrapping her cardigan tight against the March chill. They sat in the familiar spots, opposite ends of the bench. Marcus didn't reach for her, didn't launch into apologies. I need you to know why I came back that first day, why I really came. Simone braced, visible in the way her spine straightened. I came to mock you. The words landed heavy. To see you struggling and feel superior, because my life was a mess and I was miserable. I wanted to prove that leaving you was the right choice by seeing you fail. Simone flinched, didn't interrupt. Then Eli opened the door and my entire world stopped. Marcus's throat worked. But Simone, even before Eli, seeing you happy, seeing you at peace in that simple house with your beautiful, full life, it destroyed me, because it meant I'd sacrificed the wrong things. I chased money and status and emptiness, and you found actual happiness without any of that. He forced himself to meet her eyes. I don't want to fix your life. I want to be part of it. Not because it makes me feel redeemed, but because you and Eli are the only things that have ever made me feel fully alive. And if you decide I'm too much risk, I'll accept that. But I need you to know I'm not the man who came here 7 months ago to mock you. I'm not even the man who married you 8 years ago. I'm just a man who loves you and is trying every day to deserve you. Simone's face crumpled. Tears spilled silent. Do you know what it did to me? Her voice cracked. Thinking you came back and saw me as pathetic, as someone who failed? 3 days after their reconciliation, Marcus arrived for Wednesday dinner carrying groceries. Not a guest anymore. Something more. Eli met him at the door, grinning. Mom said you're staying for dinner and bedtime. That okay with you? Marcus set the bags on the kitchen counter. Yeah. Eli bounced on his toes. Then, with the directness only children managed, Are you and Mom together now? Simone appeared from the hallway, hair still damp from a shower. Her eyes found Marcus's across the room. We are, she confirmed, warmth in her voice. Eli's whoop rattled the windows. Finally. Okay, so now we can do family game nights and you can come to all my soccer games and maybe we can get a dog. Slow down, baby. Simone laughed, but her hand found Marcus's as Eli continued his elaborate plans. Joyce emerged from her room, settled into her armchair with knitting, watching. Still protective, but her expression held something softer now. Permission, maybe. Hope. Late March bled into April. Marcus started therapy on Brian's recommendation, a woman named Dr. Chen who didn't let him hide behind explanations. I want Simone to come sometimes, Marcus told her during week 2. Work through things together. Dr. Chen nodded. That's wise. But you need to do your individual work first. He did. Unpacked his childhood's emotional distance, his equation of worth with achievement, the cruelty born from self-loathing, painful, necessary excavation. Simone joined sessions 3 and 5. They practiced communication tools, discussed triggers, mapped out how to repair when conflict emerged, because conflict came. Mid-April, Marcus scheduled Eli for a Saturday playdate without consulting Simone first. Small thing, old pattern. You don't get to make decisions about Eli alone. Simone's voice stayed level but steel underneath. We're partners. That means checking with each other. Marcus's jaw tightened, defensiveness rising automatic. Then he caught himself, breathed. Dr. Chen's voice in his head. Pause before you react. You're right. I'm sorry, I should have asked you first. Simone blinked, clearly braced for argument. Oh, I got excited about Eli making a new friend, and I just acted. That's not okay. It won't happen again. They talked through boundaries, established protocols. The repair mattered more than the mistake. Later that night, Simone touched his arm. Thank you for not fighting me on that. I'm learning. Marcus covered her hand with his. Slowly, but I'm learning. He didn't move in. They agreed. Physical steps required patience, but most evenings found him at the small rental house, integrated into routines. Homework help, dinner prep, Joyce's crime shows, which he'd grown unexpectedly fond of. The ordinariness was everything he'd chased success to avoid. Now he craved nothing else. Late April, the evening before Eli's 8th birthday, Marcus wrestled with balloon strings while Simone hung streamers across the living room. Eli slept upstairs. Joyce had retired early. Comfortable silence wrapped around them. Simone paused, watching Marcus curse softly at tangled ribbons. Thank you. He looked up. For what? For staying. For doing the work. For proving I could trust you again. Marcus abandoned the balloons, crossed to her. I should be thanking you for giving me a second chance I didn't deserve, for letting me know my son, for loving me anyway. Their kiss tasted like hope. When they pulled apart, Marcus's expression shifted, serious. I've been thinking. Simone's eyebrow arched. Dangerous. He laughed, then sobered. I want to sell my condo. Find a house near here. Nothing fancy, just something with space. A yard for Eli. Quick clarification. I'm not asking to move in with you. I know we're not ready. But I want to be close, really part of this neighborhood, this life. Simone's eyes shone. I think that sounds perfect. Simone and Joyce's backyard burst with noise. Kids shrieking on the inflatable slide. Parents clustered near the fence with drinks. Late April sunshine warmed everything, made the streamers flutter. Marcus stood at the grill beside Brian, flipping burgers with exaggerated concentration. You're burning that one, Brian pointed. I'm not burning, it's getting char. Marcus rescued the patty anyway. Sure. Brian grinned. Remember when you told me you'd never do suburban dad stuff? Marcus glanced across the yard. Eli careened past on his new bike, friends chasing. I was an idiot. Yeah, you were. Simone appeared carrying an empty platter. How's it going? Brian's criticizing my technique. Because you don't have technique. Brian grabbed tongs. Let me show you. Simone laughed, that full sound Marcus had missed for 7 years. She touched his arm briefly, before heading back inside, the gesture casual, intimate. One of Simone's co-workers approached. Diane, 50s, kind eyes. You're Marcus. He braced himself. That's me. Simone talks about you. Diane studied him. She's special, you know. What she did, raising Eli alone. I know. Marcus met her gaze. I'm the luckiest man here. Diane's expression softened. Glad you figured that out. Cake time arrived with chaos. Joyce herded kids to the picnic table, while Simone carried out the dinosaur-themed cake, Eli's request. 8 candles blazed. Eli stood between Marcus and Simone, bouncing. Make a wish, baby. Simone's hand rested on Eli's shoulder. Marcus found himself holding his breath as Eli squeezed his eyes shut. The wish seemed to take forever. Then Eli inhaled deep and blew. All 8 candles extinguished in one breath. Everyone cheered. What did you wish for? Marcus asked. Eli grinned, mysterious. Can't tell or it won't come true. Kids descended on cake. Adults grabbed slices. Brian made a terrible joke about dinosaurs and extinction that somehow got laughs. Joyce cut perfect squares, her competence making it look easy. Marcus stood slightly apart, watching. His son, his family, the community Simone built, welcoming him in. A neighbor he didn't know well clapped his shoulder. Your boy's great. Your boy. Thank you. He really is. Later, as parents collected tired children, Eli tugged Marcus aside. What's up, buddy? Eli whispered conspiratorially. I can tell you my wish now that I blew out the candles. Marcus crouched. Yeah? I wished for my family to stay together forever. Eli's eyes were serious, hopeful. Marcus's throat closed. He pulled Eli into a hug. That's a good wish. The best wish. Evening settled. The house looked like a party bomb exploded. Plates everywhere, decorations drooping, toys scattered. Eli barely made it through his bath, nodding off against Marcus's shoulder as they climbed the stairs. Marcus read Where the Wild Things Are, Eli's current favorite. Halfway through, soft snores interrupted. He finished anyway, closing the book gently, tucked the blanket around Eli's shoulders, kissed his forehead. Happy birthday, buddy. I love you. Downstairs, Simone had collapsed on the couch. Joyce's bedroom door was already closed. Marcus sat beside her. Successful party. She nodded, eyes half shut. Exhausting party. Eli loved it. He's so happy, Marcus. She shifted to look at him. That's all I ever wanted. He wrapped his arm around her, pulled her close. He's not the only one who's happy. No, I am too, more than I have any right to be. Simone nestled against his chest. Her breathing slowed, deepened. Marcus thought about Eli's wish, my family to stay together forever, and made his own silent vow. This time, he wouldn't be the one who broke it. 6 months later, early October. The modest 3-bedroom on Maple Street smelled like fresh paint and possibility. Marcus stood in the empty living room, sunlight streaming through bare windows, and felt something settle in his chest. This one? Brian had asked when Marcus first showed him the listing. Yeah, it needs work, I know. 2 streets from Simone's house. A yard, garage. Nothing like the sterile condo with its view of everything and connection to nothing. Now, moving day transformed the space into controlled chaos. Boxes everywhere, voices overlapping, Eli darting between rooms with a small box labeled Fragile clutched to his chest. "I'm helping," he announced for the 5th time. Joyce appeared in the doorway, arms loaded with grocery bags. "Y'all need to eat. Can't work on empty stomachs." Marcus reached for the bags. She swatted his hands away. "You focus on not breaking furniture. I'll handle lunch." Brian wrestled with a bookshelf in the corner, sweating. This came with instructions in 3 languages, none of them helpful. "Let me," Marcus started. "No, you'll just make it worse." Brian grinned, the old ease between them comfortable as worn leather. Simone moved through the space like she belonged there, hanging curtains Marcus had let her choose. Simple, warm, nothing expensive, everything intentional. "What do you think?" she asked, stepping back to survey her work. Marcus looked at the curtains, the room, her. Perfect. By evening, the helpers had filtered out with promises to return if needed. Pizza boxes sat open on the floor, no furniture assembled yet, so they ate picnic style. Eli sprawled between his parents, sauce on his chin, narrating his room's future decoration scheme. "And I want posters of planets and maybe some soccer stuff, and definitely space for my dinosaurs." Marcus listened, memorizing every detail. His son's room, in his house, 2 streets from Simone. After Eli ran to explore the garage again, Marcus pulled something from his bag. A new frame, simple wood. Inside, the photo booth strip from the carnival, 9 months ago. The 4 of them, Marcus, Simone, Eli, Joyce, frozen in black and white joy. "I want this to be the first picture," Marcus said. "The first thing that makes this place home." Simone's eyes filled. She took the frame, traced their faces with her finger. They found space on the mantel. Pride of place. Eli returned, studying it. "We look happy." "We were," Simone said softly. "We are," Marcus corrected. Late evening found Eli asleep in his new room, exhausted from excitement. Marcus carried him to bed, still light enough to lift, though growing heavier each month. He tucked him in, kissed his forehead, stood watching him breathe in the darkened room. His son, sleeping in his house, safe, loved, permanent. When Marcus returned to the living room, Simone had claimed the only assembled piece of furniture, the couch. She looked completely at home in his space, her presence transforming it. He sat beside her, pulled her close. "Thank you," he said. "For what this time?" Amusement colored her voice. "For all of it. For Eli, for us. For this second chance at building something real." She kissed him softly. "You earned it, Marcus. Every day you earn it." They sat in comfortable silence, Eli's soft breathing audible down the hall. Through the window, distant lights marked his old condo building. Another lifetime, another man. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't come that day?" Marcus asked. Simone considered. "Sometimes. But we can't know alternate timelines. I just know this one." "And?" She smiled. "This one's pretty good." Marcus laughed, the sound filling his new home. The framed photo caught lamplight, their frozen happiness watching over this quieter, deeper version. Tomorrow, Eli would wake up. Marcus would make breakfast, probably burn it, but Eli wouldn't care. They'd spend Sunday together, ordinary and precious, not because courts demanded it, because they chose this. Marcus whispered, "I'm home." She knew he didn't mean the house. "Yes," she agreed, resting her head on his shoulder. "You are."